he doubles down. Guy with horrendous acne, his skin is speaking out to us in Braille saying, please stop. Rather than stop, he ups the doses, goes on more drugs, and claims he isn't big enough to compete. So bad, all bad, everything bad, shape is good, physique is bad, bulking's just, none of this is good.
This kid is on the road to an early trip to the grave as we speak.
Yo, fuck. Yes, bro. Oh my God, I love.
Clearly he doesn't care. He hasn't grown up. If he were, he would realize that Coach Greg is always right. A few years from now, 10 years, if he makes it that long, he'll realize he made such a huge mistake. And so hopefully you can watch this video and learn from his errors.
I already watched Greg Doucette's video. A lovely thumbnail already. 21, didn't even get my fucking age right, of course.
This is what I do. I messed up his age, and so he's 20. He isn't 21, and so it's even worse. Went from being very athletic, having a great looking build. I need you to bear witness to the lack of acne and scarring on his body. Frankly, does he not look good in these photos? Does he not seem to have an amazing physique? And so he's going to claim he's only been on steroids for a year and a half. That means he only started at 18. And so if he is in fact telling the truth, if he isn't lying, then he has elite level genetics. To have a physique as good as his at only 18, well, bro didn't need steroids after all. Essentially ruined his health.
A great future in the sport means you have to take steroids.
I'm not going to disagree with him that if you want to be on the Olympia stage to win the biggest titles in the world, that you're not going to be doing it natural. Not even C-Bum won the Olympia while being natural. But you don't need to start as a teenager. Now, the problem is a lot of our favorite athletes, for example, C-Bum and Sam Sulek, they did start using steroids as teenagers. And so a lot of people who are trying to follow in their footsteps are thinking, no, I need to use steroids right now. You do not. You can maximize your genetic potential and use steroids later if you need to. But at 18, you don't need steroids. Look at your physique. You are already growing. That despite his skin is speaking out in Braille, that his insides, they're okay.
They are okay, actually. Yeah.
They are okay, presents no evidence whatsoever. Where is this so-called blood work? Why don't you show it to us? You're making 2 response videos, no blood work. All you have to do is go to the hospital, show the blood work, and say, see, Coach Greg was wrong. I am healthy on the insides. But instead of that, he says,
the shit on my skin are scars. So it's not acne. So it's not a side effect of what's happening or that I'm unhealthy or something.
It's not acne. It's not a side effect of the steroids. You know, you get these things when you're a teenager going through puberty. Evidence exhibit A, we saw his physique prior to abusing steroids at perhaps 18. He didn't have any acne. He didn't have any scars. This all later developed when he started to use steroids. And so what he's saying, it doesn't make any sense, because if it did, he would have acne scars from when he went through puberty, when he was younger, and we would have seen that in those prior videos. But what we see in those prior videos is a man with clean skin, great physique, clean skin, looking good, and suddenly in a matter of perhaps a year and a half, it looks like he ages 10 years. Now, Diego says he looks 40. He doesn't look 40, but he doesn't look 20. He looks significantly older, and he looks to be on excessively high doses of perhaps steroids, testosterone, growth hormone, you name it. He has the telltale signs of a man who isn't natty.
Acne is not a clear indicator of someone being unhealthy.
I'm not saying that because he has acne, it clearly shows that he's unhealthy, but we know that he's abusing steroids, that he has gynecomastia and acne, as well as edema, puffiness, swelling, moon face, losing his hair. If you add all those together, knowing he's on steroids, then the acne is simply the body speaking out, and unless you show me otherwise, we know he isn't healthy.
I got the scarring and the shit on my chest you see from Accutane, a drug called Accutane. It's just a drug that is supposed to help acne.
And so he claims to have used Accutane, and that is where he's getting all this scarring. Why would you use Accutane if you didn't have acne? Like, make it make sense. You went through puberty, you were fine. Suddenly you're 18, abusing steroids, putting on hella size. The acne starts developing, and now you have what you have. but yet you claim you're healthy. How many people can use Accutane and not have any side effects that alone? And had you not abused steroids and had been natural and waited to use steroids until you're older, would that not have helped you right now?
Yeah, I had some acne on TRT and I was like, fuck, I want to do Accutane, get this shit clear, because I was getting comments about it. It was making me insecure. That's when the bad scarring reaction happened. And I stayed on TRT until that healed. Then I started blasting again.
And so step one is you don't jump on Accutane just because you have some acne from using steroids. You got to stop the steroids. You might think it's going to work, but what was the result? And so, did your doctor actually prescribe you this? Did you just order it from bro at the gym? Did you get your blood work done from Al Gore-X? Of course you didn't. And so, what do you expect? When you're coaching yourself, not knowing what you're doing, you're going to make mistakes.
Most people hate on me because I have a very good physique and I look very good. So they look at the scars and they try to put me down.
And so that's Cope. And so he doesn't want to imagine that people actually don't like his physique. He says, I look very good. To him, he looks good. To other people, all they see is the acne and the scarring and the fact that he got this because of his decisions to abuse steroids. And remember, it wasn't HRT prescribed by a doctor. It wasn't Turk Builder Max. It wasn't nothing natty. It was abusing steroids. And once his cycle ended, did he go off? No, he used TRT. I doubt it was actually TRT, probably was higher doses. And this is the result. He perhaps did that for a few months, then hopped back on.
It's always people that are lower than you that hate on you. There's never someone successful, never someone good looking.
And so I would debate that I'm perhaps equally attractive to this guy. It was on magazine covers and so on. I would say I probably have more money than this guy. I may even be more successful than this guy, but yet I still made that video. And so make that make sense.
Never someone with a good physique themselves. Never. It's always some insecure little twat.
Yeah, I guess I have no good physique. I'm an IFBB pro. I'm certain I could beat him in a bodybuilding competition even right now, in my off-season studio racing bikes, training twice a week. But hey, he doesn't want to believe it. Great shape for being in the off-season. Definitely needs to work on his legs.
This was not off-season, but it was prep. This was like 1 month out.
Bruh.
Who's going to tell him? And so unfortunately, that was 1 month out. I said, hey, it's great shape for his off-season, keeping it together. Doesn't have quite the legs he needs, but this was him almost competing.
I have lines in my legs. I have, I'm lean as fuck. I'm like 10, 12% here.
Lean as fuck. Repeats that he has 10 to 12%. Let's give him 11. And so you're lean as fuck. 4 weeks out at 11%. At 11%, that is the off season. When you're a high level bodybuilder, when you're trying to compete, you're trying to get sub 5% body fat. Average person can lose about 0.5% body fat each and every week with ease. And so if you're at 11% getting down to 5, it's going to take you about 12 weeks. You were 4 weeks out. 11%, 4 weeks out, you have to lose 1.5% of your body fat each and every week. That is a nightmare. That means you're going to drastically restrict your calories. You're going to do tons of cardio, feel like garbage, and lose muscle for certain.
When you're younger, your body can handle the drugs a lot better.
There's only so much time that your body can handle drugs. And so let's pretend that your body can handle it for 10 years. If you start at 18, you can go from 18 to 28, and then you have to retire like Chris Bumstead. If you start at 28, perhaps you can go from 28 to 38. But what if you start to 18? How are you going to make it to 38? That's 20 years. And so if you're already using steroids at 18, you're using the entirety of your career in your early ages. And so maybe it makes sense if you're telling me that you don't care if you're dead by the time you're 30, that you want to make a bodybuilding career in your 20s, and then at 30, if you die, you die. Well, if that was all that you wanted and that you wouldn't have any regrets, well, it would actually make sense. But I'm telling you, as you get older, you're going to regret the decisions you make right now, and you're going to wish that you hadn't abused steroids so young. I don't know anyone, and I do know a lot of people that think themselves, if I could go back in time, I would abuse steroids younger and at higher doses. I don't know anyone that said that, like nobody. And so if you're unsure of what to do, think of this. Nobody wishes they started younger and at higher doses. And so what you should do is the opposite of that. Lower doses and when you're older.
I DM'd this guy. There are scars. He doesn't give a f***. He made the video anyway.
I literally read out the text in detail. I read his response. I read everything. And so how am I missing out on what he stated? Oh, Coach Greg misrepresented me. I literally showed you exactly what he wrote me. I wrote him on May 24th. Do you happen to have your blood work that you can show me? I just read a post where you said that your blood work is good and that you're healthy on the inside. I was thinking I might make a video on it. His response, I got it done by the hospital like a month ago and everything was good, so I didn't ask them for a copy of it. So no, the shit on my skin isn't active acne. They are scars I got from Accutane course a year ago now. How is that bad? It's not like I'm Diego making up some bullshit, inventing milligrams that he's taking. I don't do that. I presented exactly what you gave me.
Actually, fun fact about Greg, he was selling steroids like in his 20s and 30s and got caught and the police raided his house because he was selling steroids. And apparently he was natural back then. Yeah.
It was actually late 30s, not 20s and 30s. When I was in my 20s, I was 100% natural. And so you could get your facts straight. It talks about me lying about his facts. And also, it wasn't the police, it was CDSA, the Canada Border Agencies. And so you got your facts wrong. Do you see that?
He was natural, but he had steroids in his apartment. He had steroids in his apartment and he was only selling them, guys.
And so do you see how this doesn't make sense? Late 30s, natural in my 20s. You can do the girly laugh as much as you want, but it doesn't actually make any sense.
I've got some interesting questions. Some were straight up weird and gay, but some of you actually asked some normal questions.
He's going to now be answering your questions about steroids because at 20 years old, he's clearly an expert. And so who wouldn't want to hire him for coaching you? Clearly, he knows what you need to be taking to make sure you don't have any problems. He knows how to coach you to do things safely. And so let's listen to some of his advice.
Oh yeah, says, can I just use 300 milligrams of test for 20 weeks without blood work, or is safe, or am just died? Honestly, 300 milligrams is not even that much. 20 weeks is fine, bro. 300 milligrams for 20 weeks is not gonna do shit. You're not gonna die from that.
300 milligrams for 20 weeks is a lot. If you're natural, so for example, if we took Hussein Farhad and I gave him 300 milligrams of test a week for 20 weeks, you would see a night and day transformation. It would be like, holy shit. If I took my twin brother, who's a university professor, lifetime natural, he's blonde, he does karate. If I gave him 300 milligrams of test for 20 weeks, he would most likely put on 10 to 20 pounds, and most of it would be muscle. It would be a game changer.
I would do blood work though to see if your estrogen is fine. If your estrogen isn't fine, just add a little bit of an Primo or EQ and you'll be good. You're not gonna die from 300 tests.
If you go in and you're doing 300 milligrams of test, his solution, if you're having high estrogen, is to add more steroids. Perhaps what would be wrong with reducing the steroids? Or better yet, why don't we start with 100 milligrams or maybe 150 and do that for HRT? And if those results aren't blowing your socks off, perhaps then you titrate the dosage up. If you're on HRT and your estrogen is too high, then you don't need to add in more steroids, you need to add in less, as in take away from some. Or perhaps you could take an aromatase inhibitor, you could perhaps do Arimidex, you could do even some Nolva, take a SERM, but you don't add in more steroids. That does not make any sense. And so my estrogen is always where it should be. It's in the normal reference range because my doses are appropriate. My last blood work, my test was at 651 nanograms per deciliter, but remember, I had reduced my doses. Typically, it's in the 800s, but I'm at 140 milligrams. If you're at 300 milligrams, many people are going to be above 2,000. I would say minimum 1,500, which is obviously too much.
Are you worried about gear aging your face?
And so what's with bro trying to mog Malibu Fit? Like, what exactly was that?
Look at my face.
You did cause yourself to look significantly older. Not for the better, but for the worse. Sorry, I'm telling you like it is. Taking steroids and looking like this with the moon face and the puff, it's not doing you any favors.
Do I look aged to you? I look fucking sexy as fuck.
Yeah, you looked aged to me and look aged to everyone else.
Age and where are you located? I'm 20. I think everyone knows that by now. And I am from the Netherlands. What's your cycle look like? I'm not going to say the exact doses because honestly, that's nobody's business what I'm doing with my fucking body.
And so he's not going to say what he's doing because we would be shocked to see how high those doses they actually are. Think of it. He's asking almost all these questions, open, honest, transparent. Where do you live? How old are you? Blah, blah, blah. But he refuses to tell us his cycle.
Currently, Masteron Primo are heavily faked. So I would stay away from that. I would just run test and EQ, some HGH if you want. And that's it basically right now. That's all you need.
At 20, you barely need Turk Builder Max. Do you know how many years of natural genetic potential that you have when you're only at 20? You're nowhere near your genetic potential. Don't use steroids. At least wait until you get older.
When are you going to compete next by Jareth Jennings? When I'm big enough. I'm not big enough yet.
I personally won the Canadian National Bodybuilding Championships weighing 149. And so you don't need to be huge in order to get up on stage.
How long have you been training for? I started training consistently at 15, like with the gym. I've had many ups and downs of alcohol, drugs and shit that made me lose all my muscle.
It sounds like he's had a hard life. And so from somebody who's already abused drugs and alcohol at only 20, this makes his use of steroids even worse.
And on gear, I've only been on gear for 1.5 years.
And so the fact that he's only been on steroids for 1.5 years, this proves he's taking way too much. In the first couple of years that you're taking steroids, you hardly need to take any. You take a little bit, it goes a long way. Less is more. And of course, you shouldn't be taking anything, but if you did, is it not the lowest dose that makes you happy? And so he competes in bodybuilding, does amazing, and decides, you know, I'm not big enough. Abuses steroids, 500 milligrams to start, and bumps those doses up even higher without giving his body the time to react. And so why would you take all these drugs? Just because you want to be a bodybuilder doesn't mean you need the pro card before you're 21.
What was your reaction to Greg's vid? I watched it. I didn't really care that much. I was expecting to like be embarrassed and shit. Didn't really care because I already get this daily. I get thousands of hate comments daily for no reason.
It isn't for no reason. And I want to present you with this perspective. Rather than thinking that all those people are just hating on you, what if some of them are actually making sense? Like, I know it's hard in your position to read a comment saying the acne's horrible, your skin looks horrible, your skin is speaking to you in Braille, you're going to die before you're age 30, you need to stop taking steroids, and you think that they're just haters. But what if their message actually makes sense? And so what if, hear me out, what if my video, it's actually not a hate video, but a video to try to help people to not abuse steroids?
Heart attack in 10 years. Is it worthy? Yes, bro.
And so that's when you know a man is delusional and isn't thinking clearly. It affects the way that you think. You think that it's worth dying in 10 years. That would put him at 28 in order to get huge. That if he could live 10 years on this earth, jacked with a puffy moon's face and horrendous acne scars and so on, gynecomastia, perhaps going bald, that all of that is worth it. That what would be the point in living to, for example, let's say 80 while being natural? I mean, if he had to have a natural physique, I mean, we look at his physique when he was 18, and so we see the natural genetic potential. Imagine if he trained for 10 more years natty, how would he look natural at 28? I would say stupendous, amazing, but that wouldn't be worth it because he wouldn't be a bloat lord. And so make it make sense. He thinks that living 10 years jacked on all kinds of drugs and dying of a heart attack is better than living for 50 years with an amazing physique, but having to do it while being natural. And you, the viewer, some of you are watching this and thinking Greg is a hater and that you'd rather watch him. It just goes to show that no matter how stupid you are, how dumb your ideas are, you're still going to have some fans. He thinks that looking like this guy, it's worth it to abuse steroids, to look like this, to die at 28. I have no words. How am I supposed to make that make any sense? Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algo, go to Algo RX to get your blood work. This guy needs to get his blood work again. Send it to Coach Greg so we can do an honest assessment of his health, see if he actually will make it to 28. Don't forget to watch one of those 2 bloops. If you want to get coached by myself or have my supplements into your stores and or gyms, or if you want to get sponsored, click the link in the description. If you can't afford couching, get the app, get your body fat analysis done. The programs, Coach Greg and Eric Janicki explaining all of the exercises. And so if you're interested, click the link right now. And until next time, I am out.